and gentlemen, this is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. We begin our shows with something that Nancy Pelosi's Chinese spy driver, I doubt ever did, because he was in fact a Chinese spy. We begin our shows with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prep tip of the day, I want to encourage you to ramp up your training for your team. I had lunch a couple weeks ago with a friend of mine, former counterintelligence agent, and he said that the militia people he's working with are engaging in more intense training all this year, what's left of it, and all next year, in preparation for what might be happening in 12 months. Hopefully it won't happen, but if your team is trained up and ready, you'll be better prepared to deal with it. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient waiting in the green room, my friend Steve Ben-Noon. Steve is the proprietor of IsraeliNewsLive.org. I say again, IsraeliNewsLive.org. And we're going to get caught up on the events of the day. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, John.
Well, sir, quick personal update. I may have won the beaver war here at my place. We got a couple of ponds of beavers moved in and declared home sweet home. And last Friday, I found out what their source of food is. That's weeping willows. I cut down about 200 weeping willows. And then I attacked their little home that they make with the Kubota tractor, getting it stuck in the mud for about 2 hours before I got it loose. Then we poured diesel fuel and gasoline down to the beaver home and set it on fire. I think they may be gone. I'll confirm that today. But it's been a struggle, to say the least.
Beavers can be a challenge, that's for sure.
Yes. I got a couple of shots at one of them with my M1 carbine, but I missed both times. I've readjusted my red dot sight, and next time I get a shot, I think I'll have a better chance of scoring. And one of my neighbors has volunteered to come over and pick up the dead beaver and barbecue it. So if we get a dead beaver or two, it'll be a win-win situation. It is funny. Getting the tractor stuck for 2 hours was not funny, but we got it loose. Steve, I'm hearing more and more from people that I know and trust, and books are being written, and various commentators, even the President of the United States has made comments about the possibility of civil war. I don't want to hear this. I'm at a point in my life where I'd rather watch my grandchildren play football or volleyball in the case of the girl, and enjoy life as opposed to stacking up ammunition and buying new sandbags. I really don't need that at my point in my life. What do you think about what's going on, sir, regarding possible civil war in a year or so?
Well, I don't think anybody needs it at all, but John, as I'm watching what's going on all around the world, you just can't help but think, when's it going to come here? I mean, I know it's not civil war in every nation, but you've got Hong Kong, you've got Ukraine, you've got Spain, you've got France, you've got Bolivia, Ecuador,
Chile.
Peru, Chile. I mean, it's just like spreading like wildfire all over the world. And a lot of these things I really believe they're instigated to begin with because they're wanting to make a change. As George Bush once said, a new world order. So is that one of the reasons why they're doing all this? That's some of the intel that I had received originally, that this is what they would do in America. And they said they wanted the Americans to run their bullets out on one another. Right. So that they could come in and then take over. So I see it coming, and regardless of what the reason they use to get it started with, but I think at the end of the day, John, it's really going to be to facilitate their new global system that they're going to have. And one thing that might help it is if they decide to create a problem in the economics of the United States. That seems to be what causes it everywhere else really well. And And you don't even have to cause the economic chaos. Let's say you don't even have to cause the dollar collapse. All you have to do is just say, well, so sorry, the government doesn't have any money this month to give out food stamps or any of our other benefits that we give out, and so you're just on your own this time around. That's all it would
Absolutely.
take.
Well, uh, there's been isolated incidents where the debit cards that they give these folks for their subsidies stopped working, and people were in the offices that issued the cards within an hour or two, raising hell and tearing the place up. So we know what would happen rather quickly. But these incidents happening in all the countries that you and I mentioned, Steve, these are not spontaneous events that are happening as some kind of natural course of history. These are orchestrated by the communists and George Soros to achieve a certain goal, aren't they?
Oh, yes, they are. They're definitely there to achieve a certain goal. In fact, there were two friends, journalists down in Bolivia, that contacted me when the problem started down there, and of course, it's allegedly over the elections, which was kind of what we're anticipating here, and the whole purpose there with the man that got reelected. They said to me, the media is trying to spin it that he stole the election. They said, but the guy actually, this would be his fourth term, and they said he's the one that actually cleaned up the drug running problem in that country and threw out the CIA and the DEA. And they said, so, in their opinion, they feel like that this is an orchestrated coup in order to put in the man that whoever it be in the world that wants a different person in gets in there. So I think that could be the same situation we have here when the time comes. It might be that the intelligence that I always get on it is that they're bringing in a new world order system, and this is out of Israeli intelligence, and I was being told at that time that what's going on down in Venezuela was orchestrated as well, and that the Mossad had boots on the ground to help facilitate that situation because they wanted to be able to get a hold of the natural resources. And
now,
said that
this would be just the opposite. This would be people attempting to destroy a communist regime, wouldn't it?
Well, more than likely so, yes. And you mentioned communists. That's really, I guess that's the main thing that they go for. But the problem is, this new world order system is to bring about a communist regime on a global scale. And that's where the problem comes in, John.
Right. Well, that is the ultimate goal. And we, the United States of America, we are the prize. They have to take us down to take down the rest of the world.
That's true. That's true. And of course, they're saying that when I say they, I'm talking about people that I know in the Mossad. They said that China will be the new world power when this is all over with. So, we know that the Chinese, they do not want to make the mistake that Hitler made, as it was made by one of their defense ministers a little while back. They want to engage the United States when that time comes solely alone, not multiple fronts going on. So why not help destabilize the entire world to where everyone is fighting against themselves before you take on your last arch enemy?
Well, and we are the last arch enemy. Asians don't think the same way Caucasians do. Their culture, their society, they plan decades in advance. What's happening right now in 2019 was planned decades ago. And they've been very, very patient in implementing their plan, getting all the pieces on the chessboard very carefully put in place prior to anything important happening, correct?
That's very true. And they've been working on that like you said, for a long, long time. And they've had a lot of help as well, though, John. You know, this is one of the reasons why back in the 90s, all of our companies were being moved over to China. That was to give them the economic strength that they would need to become that new world power. And, you know, I had friends that I know of that actually moved their companies there to China. And this is why the Israelis know so much about what China is going to be. And as I was told in one of my broadcasts one time, or after the broadcast I made it, I was kind of giving China a rough way to go over their Silk Road. And so I was contacted by somebody high level in the Israeli government, and they told me, they said, you need to keep your mouth shut about that. You know, the Chinese, you need to say good things about the Chinese and not bad things about the Chinese. I'm like, wow. So the next time around, John, I just said, you know, there's some great Chinese people out there, but that communist government I could really care less about, and they're worthless, no good. And so,
right.
So, all right, I said something good. Now let me finish what I was going to say, though, about it. You know, it's an orchestrated plan, and it's you know, I know you've reported on it, John. There's a lot of Chinese that have come into this nation. They whether they come in illegally, whether they come in through fast track citizenship, all these little startup companies. I mean, people have no idea, John, how many LLCs can be started and used to facilitate the movement of minimum of 10 people at a time. And I've known individuals that have anywhere from 500 to 1,000 LLCs open under one name. And as long as they meet that criteria, they can be phantom companies. They could be linked to some shell company. And that's how they get all these people in here.
Right. Well, I am a paralegal, and I've done a considerable amount of paralegal work in between investigating murders. And I could set up a corporation I have a 1 hour lunch break, set up a corporation, and still have more than half an hour to eat my lunch. And that was before computers. If you're in the profession of setting up corporations, it's a very routine matter, very simple, very quick, and people hear you talk about hundreds of LLCs. To me, that's not a big deal. To anybody, any professional who knows how to do this, it's not a big deal to set up LLCs, set up corporations. It's routine. It's done all the time. And people don't understand this. They get down these different rabbit trails where somebody did research, for example, and found that in Delaware, somebody incorporated the United States of America back in the 1970s. And they think that makes our government a private corporation, which is just another LLC that has nothing to do with the federal government of the United States. It's kind of a rabbit trail, but when people get into areas that they don't really understand, they end up with reaching the wrong conclusions, don't they?
That is true. That is very true. There's a lot to it, and a lot of people are not aware of how they work or why they're open. Some of them are legitimate businesses. Some of them are not. Some of them have real addresses. Some of them don't have real addresses. Some of them are just post office boxes, whether it be in this country, another country, or some of them are owned by another corporation that'll be the managing partner of that corporation, so you won't see any names assigned to it. And then you got your limited liability partnerships. Those are the ones that are really stealth, because you can hide who the owners of those companies are. And that's what makes the loophole in our nation to be able to do a lot of clandestine things. There's your loophole right there.
Right. Well, I've done those things myself professionally in order to accomplish certain goals in my career as an investigator. I would get various fictitious name registrations, for example. I'll give you an example of one that I used back in the mid-'80s, early to mid-'80s. It was Air America, LLC. And we had signs printed up, magnetic signs for our vehicles that said air quality testing in Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. And business cards printed up. We had hats and name tags and everything. And it was a great cover until the movie came out, where everybody found out that Air America was a CIA operation in Laos back in the 1960s. And we had to abandon that operation and come up with a new one. But it was great while it lasted.
Yes.
So these are routine things that are routinely done, and they may be nefarious, they may be very innocuous, and maybe just another dog grooming company. It's both ends of the spectrum, isn't it?
That's exactly right, John. You have to know what you're doing when you're researching those type things. But the one thing is that this is what the Chinese have taken advantage of in putting boots on the ground here. And of course, the Russians have done it as well. We don't want to leave those guys out. They're really good at it, and so to stir up something in this nation and then do it internally, which, like I said, this is what their objective is. They want to cause an internal strife here.
They do. Hold that thought. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 29th of October. We're going on a cruise. It will be fun. It will be romantic. Leaving Florida the 9th of February, returning a week later, the 16th. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can contact our cruise director for details. That's Betsy Murphy. Her telephone, here it is. Betsy Murphy's telephone, 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. visiting Mr. Steve Ben-Nun. His website is IsraeliNewsLive.org. I say again, IsraeliNewsLive.org. And we will have a speaking engagement in Metro Orlando the 8th of February, won't we, Steve?
Yes, we do. And what we're doing right now, John, because we had a whole bunch of major illness issues come down in my home, so I've been against the wall trying to get the ticket system set up. So what I'm doing, and people have responded because I want it only announced here before we put it out on our side. If the people are interested in being first to get the tickets, and I've had several people email me already, just email me at Stephen at, and that's Stephen, Steven, at IsraeliNewsLive.org. Let me know you want tickets for the show first and your name. They'll be $25 each, and then we'll go ahead and have you put down, and as soon as it's up, I'll email you the link so you can get it. And then after we get it public here, we'll give everybody here a first shot. Then we'll put it on Israeli News Live, and then they'll sell out within a couple of days.
It's highly likely that you will meet my friend Ted Brower, who lives in Metro Orlando, and then I'll stand back and watch the two of you get to know each other. It will be a hoot. Between his knowledge and your knowledge and myself, we could solve the problems of the world, I think, in 4 or 5 hours. But that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And what a great time to be away from the ice and cold and snow and be in the beautiful Caribbean on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines and be in Orlando. So check that. We'll as soon as we get the venue squared away and all the details, we'll get that posted on my website. Steve, we got an election in almost exactly 12 months. It's 12 months and a few days. And this time will fly by. It will fly by so fast, it will make your head spin, won't it?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. You know what's funny? You say that, John, about how time flies by. And people always say it. They say, well, time is going by faster than it ever has. And then I heard one person say one day, they said, look, a day is still 24 hours, a week is still 7 days. Well, you know, I do a lot of research in the Dead Sea Scrolls. All these were part of the Institute. We researched the actual fragments. And I ran across one document not too long ago, and I don't remember for sure if it's Dead Sea Scrolls or one of the like Nag Hammadi writings, but they said that in the last days, the weeks would pass like hours, and the months would pass like a week, and time would speed up. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? Because when I was a kid, it seemed like the day would never end, and I thought that I would never become an adult. My mother lied to me and said she was as small like I was, and I was born a child, she was born an adult, and that's the way it was.
Well, when I was a boy, I couldn't wait to be an adult and do adult stuff. And
same for me. For me. I wanted to be an adult, but I just thought I was stuck.
Right. And we have these milestones that we look forward to. Old enough to ride a bicycle. Old enough to go to school by yourself. Old enough to get your first BB gun. And all these touchstone points where, and then that. The prize of getting that driver's license in your pocket. What a prize that was. But it did seem like, especially in the younger years, it did seem like the days and weeks and months passed forever. It took a long time, and now they're just in fast forward. But getting back to the original premise, we have an election in 12 months. I fully expect Hillary will be the Democratic nominee, by the way. All things, all politics aside, she's the only one that can raise any serious money. And without raising serious money, there's no point in even running. And Elizabeth Warren can't do that. Bernie Sanders should probably drop out. I'm surprised he hasn't yet with his health conditions. And the rest of these people don't even know who they are, Kamala Harris and so forth. It will be Hillary, and there's no doubt in my mind that if we have a free and fair election and eliminate as much fraud as possible, that of course Donald Trump's going to be reelected. Between now and then, however, the Democrats, I think, will run out of steam on their phony impeachment scams in the next 3 to 4 weeks. At the same time, Attorney General Barr is ramping up his investigations, and I hope it will be issuing indictments before very long. They're toast. They know they're toast, and they can't win at the election, at the voting booth. So they're going to take action in the form of physical violence, civil disorder, won't they, sir?
Well, I can guarantee you one thing: it's like little children at a spat party, boy. They if they don't get their way, it's going to be a day of reckoning.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Hillary,
hold that thought. We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Okay, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on Tuesday, the 29th of October. The month is quickly slipping away from us. If you want to keep up with what's going on this planet geopolitical-wise, we have a new posting every day of the week at my website at thelibertyman.com. On the right side near the top there, daily intelligence briefing prepared by my friend of mine, former counterintelligence agent. I met while working on a homicide a few years ago. It's a lot of work. Dozens of fresh new articles, 7 days a week, posted at my website at thelibertyman.com. You want to keep up with what's going on, a great place to do it. If you have arthritis pain, I know many of you do, or you're not sleeping well at night, well, there's another big chunk of people. You need an energy cleanser, quite frankly. I use mine every night. I wake up pain-free after doing the various things like last Friday, using a hand-operated winch called a come-along to pull a several thousand-pound Kubota tractor out of the mud. Did I have some soreness? My hands, my arms, and shoulders? Of course I did. I woke up pain-free Saturday morning because I sleep on the energy cleaner. You can also. $285 shipping included to American zip codes. The mattress pads that go with it, well, they vary in price. You might need twin size, a full to queen king, California king. I got them all listed for sale there. It's a great package. You already have your energy cleaner. Christmas coming up. Somebody you know, somebody you care about needs an energy cleaner. Consider that. What a great gift. You can place your order using PayPal right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Steve Ben-Nun. His website's IsraeliNewsLive.org. Steve, before we get to our next caller, you want to finish your thought that was interrupted before the break?
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, well, that's okay. I know I have to write it down or I'll forget too. We got a caller on hold here. We got John in Texas. Good morning, John.
Hello, Mr. Noon.
How you doing?
Fine. I was going to know what would be the point of right now of impeaching Trump? I mean, who would he be replaced with? He would be replaced by was there President, Vice President?
Well, I would imagine if they did, that's what would happen. I think it's about the stupidest thing they could do, though. You know, even if you don't agree with President Trump,
Right.
if you don't agree with his policies or whatever the case may be, you know, you're too close to another election anyway. So why would you go with the impeachment? It just doesn't make sense. Which reminds me of what I was going to say.
To discredit him and people by suggestion, or
you know, the thing is when they start doing all this discrediting, which they do it with every president practically that ever comes into office, especially in the modern era with technology, you know, sometimes the best thing to do is just ignore a lot of it. You know, don't engage all that. You know, that only adds fuel to the fire.
Shit. All right. Let's see. Just what is the truth about Mike Pence? What is he? Who is he really connected with, and what interest does he represent? And how did he get to be get to be where he is in the presidency? How was he selected as a running mate? Was he a compromise or what?
You know, that answer I don't know enough of. I know I was listening to a thing on Fox not too long ago, and they were talking about him a little bit. But for myself and some of the things that I've investigated, I've not seen anything really with Mike Pence. You know, how he got selected, I have no idea personally. But you know,
I got some follow up on that. There,
I
Steve.
was thinking, John, you probably would have a little bit better.
Well, the selection of vice president, typically one of the most important aspects is how will it help the ticket, and how will it translate into electoral college votes. That's a massive part of selecting any vice president, this one or any other. My friend Dave Hodges, his website, The Common Sense Show, Dave is holding on to some proprietary information regarding Mike Pence that he may or may not elect to release publicly. I'm not sure the nature of it, and we shall see. He's very concerned about who Mike Pence is and who he's connected to, but we shall see. There will not be a conviction of this president at an impeachment trial unless a whole bunch of Republican senators turn coat and vote for conviction. What the impeachment process is doing right now is motivating the base of people who support President Trump, motivating them to show up at rallies in unheard of numbers, and motivating people to encourage others, to conservative Christians especially, to register to vote and prepare to vote in 12 months. So it's actually having the opposite effect. The impeachment process does not make anybody who is against President Trump against him any more than they already are, but it is actually motivating people who may have been passive in the past concerning President Trump, motivating them to register to vote, encourage their friends to register to vote, and actually get out and vote in just over 12 months. So I believe they're having the opposite effect, John, of what they hope to get. Anything else, John?
Unless, of course, what they're trying to do is stir up emotion so that they can light a spark with agent provocateurs and, you know, actually ignite civil unrest and rioting.
Well,
and
agent provocateurs, by definition, are paid to do what they do. They don't need a spark. All they need is a green light from the people that control them. That's the nature of agent provocateurs. I've dealt with these people professionally.
Are they trying to set people up psychologically for a situation where they can set up agent provocateurs to set off civil unrest because of anger?
Well, civil unrest will be provoked, and it may or may not have anything to do with impeachment. They can create something out of thin air like they did with Michael Brown. I have a lot of tight connections to everything that went down in Ferguson, Missouri a few years back. They can create things out of thin air. They don't need an impeachment. They could just make something up out of thin air and then run with it, because the media will fan the flames, won't they, Stephen?
They're good at it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's all.
Oh, well, thank you, John. We appreciate the call.
Welcome.
The call number is 800-313-9443. I've seen many people in the Patriot community, Steve, they get caught up on what may or may not be a false flag event, and a lot of silliness. For example, people claiming that no children died at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And it takes about 15 minutes to analyze and figure that they would have to have at least 500 adults all agreeing to be part of the conspiracy to conceal the fake deaths. Try to get that under control. All the parents of the children, the grandparents of the children, the siblings of the children, the first responders, all the spouses of the first responders, all the adult children of the first responders, all the people in the community that have friends that were in the neighborhood. It would be a massive list of people who would all have to agree to be part of a grand conspiracy that no children died at Sandy Hook Elementary School, which is that's just beyond anything that could be accomplished, in my opinion. So don't focus. I'm going to encourage people: don't focus on silliness, such as trying to determine if this event or that event is a false flag. What you need to be focused on is the grand plan, the grand scheme, what they want to accomplish, and how to protect yourself and the people you care about from their plans. Correct, Steve?
Well, that's true, John, because there are cases to where there could be some arguments made of something being a false flag, but then again, I've seen cases that are called false flags that I know for a fact myself are not. Two of those were the Texas church shooting. I know there were a lot of people that thought that was a false flag, put it out there all over the media, but yet 5 of those people that were killed were followers of ours, friends of ours, and John, he survived. His wife was killed. His children, he had a couple of children that were not, but his parents were killed. He lost the most people in that shooting. And I also know that what they never tell in the police report was that it was a armed citizen that wounded this man when he was fleeing, and he actually bled to death. They said he did a self-inflicted gun wound, but that was not true. And
this is the incident at the Texas church where the NRA instructor who lived next door got his AR and shot the guy and then chased him down in a pickup truck.
Yes.
Right. That came up last night. That incident came up. I was at the chief's meeting in our county, and that incident was pointed out as we had our discussions. We got a caller on hold here. We got Rob in Illinois. Good morning, Rob.
Hello, fellas. I wanted to respond to the vice president stuff.
Please.
Throughout history, if we recall, Johnson was forced onto Kennedy. Reagan had Bush forced onto him. So we believe that Trump had to, because Trump didn't know anything about politics and who to run with. So pretty much Pence was forced onto Trump. That was the deal that was made. Okay, you're the nominee. You go with this guy. Pence has a checkered past, as far as we know. People have to search this for themselves whether or not Dave Hodges releases stuff in the future. But Pence and his wife are both, as governor of Indiana, were part. Again, you have to do your own research. I've looked it up. I've come across articles and people that research this stuff where they have been part, allegedly, of like the flesh trade, dealing with children, and so on and so forth. So he's no clean cookie. Also, when you talk about the General Flynn case, how General Flynn's in all this trouble, and now it's finally they actually have documents. Sidney Powell is now pulling out documents how Flynn was set up. Even though we knew Flynn was set up from the beginning, all the FBI falsifying documents and the 302s or whatever they want to call it, and saying that he lied, and it was basically a process crime. Well, Pence is the one that actually threw Flynn under the bus. It is Flynn that made this phone call to the ambassador of Russia, and he was talking to him, and I think it was Kislyak. And during that phone call that Flynn was had, which was a legit phone call, according to, and I was listening to Steve Pieczenik on Alex Jones now, take credibility here, but this is Steve Pieczenik we're talking about. Steve Pieczenik mentioned that day that they were sharing, Flynn and Kislyak were sharing that day. They were comparing notes, comparing a list of all the pedo criminals that were not just in the United States or Russia, but internationally. And they were comparing a list. And that's the one thing that Flynn did not share in that phone call, and that got Pence into an outrage trying to get, them to find out what were you talking about, why were you talking about it, and then that's when, boom, Pence threw Flynn under the bus, and then Flynn has been in this whole motion for the last 2.5 years and lost pretty much everything, which he will be exonerated from, by the way.
One comment on what the caller is saying there, John. The one thing that I do know that Pence is connected deeply with that I haven't thoroughly searched out, he is connected very deeply with the Vatican.
All right.
That might sum up some of those thoughts as well. Well, I don't know. Other than that, the investigation I've been on for about a year, I didn't see anything on him really. So, but doesn't mean that he's not. Like I said, there could be all kinds of skeletons in the closet. Who knows?
Maybe. Rob, any follow-up before we move on? Okay,
no,
thank you, sir.
No, good.
We appreciate it. Call number is 800-313-9443. It's hard to imagine anybody forcing anything on Donald Trump. It was probably suggested to him as being a good thing to bring Pence on board, and I don't know who he had for advisors at the time when they were in this process of picking a running mate. But Donald Trump's not the kind of guy I would try to force anything on. How about you, Steve?
Well, the thing is, talking about the forcing, it could just be strongly suggested by not a good advisor. But I know that it's been denied, but Jared Kushner and Ivanka have been wanting him to drop Pence for the next election and take a woman for a running mate instead. So now, is that true or not? They did deny that when it came out, when that was leaked out. But so I don't know if that's true or if they just didn't want that leaked out at that time. Who's to say? But if he did change, I would think either Michelle Bachmann or Nikki Haley would probably be who he would choose, or that might be who they have in mind.
Okay. Well, I would. What was the name of that female governor in Alaska? Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin. Maybe her time has passed, but she would have been a great choice a few years ago, I think.
Yeah. Michelle Bachmann, I believe, really thought that she might get chosen the last time around because she had contacted me on several emails. She was trying to clean up her past, and so there was one video that I had that she wanted me to remove, and it seemed to me that she was really hopeful that she might be chosen as VP, because at first I couldn't understand why she was worried about it. I'm like, I didn't say anything. Everything in there is good about you. Why would you worry about that? But
she's worried about the connection to you, not what was in the video.
That's exactly right.
Right. So it wasn't the message; it was the messenger that she was concerned about.
That's it.
Oh, I'm connected to this guy. This guy.
Well, what happened after that, John? Just to show you exactly where it was coming from. As soon as I removed the video for her sake. I said, okay. I said, I understand. And the next thing, I didn't understand exactly. I just had to try to read between the lines.
It's called guilt by association, but go ahead.
Exactly. So then as soon as I had removed it, within about 30 days, the Vatican came out and publicly stated that Michelle Bachmann had cleared herself of all of her associations with those that are against the Catholic Church.
Oh. Okay. That reminds me of Timothy McVeigh, who did not blow up anything, but was convicted and executed. He walked by a table at a gun show in Kansas City and picked up a business card from a Missouri militia outfit, put it in his pocket. And that was regarded as a connection to the Missouri militia. How about that? We got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. here on Tuesday, the 29th of October. Visiting with Steve Ben-Nun. His website's IsraeliNewsLive.org. Steve, some clarification here. People were saying that the Texas church shooting, nobody died. Is that what they were claiming?
Well, there were, and when it first happened, there were some people that, as always, they jump on the bandwagon saying it was staged. And
staged meaning it was a theatrical event, nobody died.
It could be, or, just like the other case, it could be staged, and somebody actually did it, but it was an inside government job. But
right.
The thing was, the man that actually did it, John he'd shared with me about that, it was actually someone that dated a girl that went to that church there. I think it was the pastor's daughter. And he said that, him and his wife had befriended the boy, tried to, show him kindness. He said, but he was just troubled. He had a lot of issues. And, I guess the relationship went south, and then he got angry and he came in there and took it out on everybody. He said, in fact, he couldn't understand why he would have shot his wife as much as his wife showed kindness to this young man. And he said he just did it point blank range in cold blood, shot her twice, actually, not once.
Right. Well, I've investigated quite a few murders in my time, and what people typically do, and it happened in this case, people who are psychologically normal attempt to evaluate the actions of somebody who is suffering from some kind of psychological disorder. And you can't do that. You can't make sense out of something like that using normal logic because it won't work.
No, that's true. In the same case in France, in Paris, at the cafe there, where there was a lot of people in America saying that this was a staged event as well. And I actually went there after the shooting, of course, because I was living in Europe at the time. And, of course, you see all the flowers, everything out beside that. But what was really striking to me, which made me realize it wasn't just a random act, one of the trees there where they had all the flowers around had been struck by one of the bullets, and it had grazed the side of the tree. And, of course, you could see how the round went in, how the round came out. And I forget the details on that shooting at the time, but I remember that it did somewhat match the type of weapon that was being used to kill those people with there as well. And you could just tell by the way, you don't go in the middle of downtown France and start shooting high-powered weapons like that. And so it was obvious that there had something had taken place there, and there was certainly gunfire in the direction of the people in the restaurant. So it was consistent with the narrative that was coming out about that, the people that died in that attack as well.
Right. We got one last follow-up here. One of our callers mentions that all he's seeing is Trump 2020 signs, not Trump Pence 2020. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, but a caller wanted to point that out. We're out of time here, Steve. It was a fast hour.
It sure was. John, we appreciate it, and we should have everything up by our next broadcast where we can get some tickets out to people. We got plenty of time, and like I said, I know that people that are listening here that want to be able to come to the conference to listen to John speak on this, definitely when we put it up, or email me now.
Okay. Because
when our folks get a hold of it, it won't last.
It'll sell it in a few days, right? All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Tuesday, the 29th of October. Prep tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to get your teams to ramp up your training, make it more intense, make it more realistic, encourage people to show up for the training, and be sure and get the basics really squared away. First aid, CPR, radio communications, cross-country navigation, fieldcraft, all these things that are so necessary to a team being a team and having the skills they need. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient waiting agreement with my friend Leon Green. Leon is a gentleman who began a quest more than 10 years ago to become quite knowledgeable of anything and everything to do with doTERRA essential oils and how they can be incorporated in your daily life to have the fun, full, happy, productive, high energy life that we all want to have. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, John. How are you doing, sir?
We're all really good. I took delivery a few days ago of the Modern Essentials 11th edition. It was just printed last month, just published last month. Beautiful book, lots of full color photographs in there. I am so glad I got it. So it's the companion copy to the 5th edition, which of course says things that because of the Food and Drug Administration we're not allowed to say anymore. But between the two, I've got a very valuable reference library, haven't I, sir?
Absolutely. And what's also good is it also gives you the references, so you can actually see the science behind the oils and the universities and the medical institutions that have done the research that that's provided. So when they talk about asthma, how effective peppermint is as a vasodilator, and then they do control groups. So it gives you the science, so the analytical people can be confident that the oils are potent and efficacious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, in the absence of efficacy, what's the point? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
like the gas.
Absolutely.
No.
Well, I use the oils 2-3 times a day for different purposes. I put the On Guard on before I go out in public. I use the combination of lemon and another one for the Purify for doing laundry. And if I get some, different things like a little injury on my skin, I'll use another oil. And a little peppermint when I got a long drive to help stay awake. One more On Guard at night and a diffuser while I'm sleeping. And it's just become part of my daily life, and I'm so glad to have them. And it's a process. It's a learning process. It's a matter of learning the oils, understanding how they work, why they work, incorporating them into your daily life, and just making it routine, like putting on a clean pair of socks every day, right, Leon?
Absolutely. And it is very simple. And like you said, it's a process, but the ability to learn about them, while everything is hunky-dory, is very easy. And it also builds your confidence. If you have it, like right now when you were talking about building up your team and all the necessary things to actually incorporate a team comms, movement. I mean, just yesterday we were doing team tactics with 9 people, and another 7 of them were from the Houston Fire Department. So it was good to see that. And there was even 3 of them that had SWAT medic on their medic chest rigs, and so it was good to see that. And I'm glad to. And we talked about it and how now they're learning these tactics because certain municipalities and fire stations are saying, we're not going to wait till these people die before we go in. So now they're learning the same tactics, and a majority of them didn't have the actual, the 4 safety rules down pat. And it was kind of funny to see even these people who are they can save hundreds of lives, but they don't have the firearms training. So you could see sloppy fingers when it came to indexing, putting their finger in their appropriate place and
right.
the muzzle control. Right. But medically, they were completely sound. But, and it just shows you that everybody's at a different level when it comes to learning.
Well, different jurisdictions have different approaches. At the Chiefs meeting last night, we were discussing active shooter drills, and the protocols in my area are to have the paramedic in the middle of a group of the first of the police officers, law enforcement, as they move through clearing a school, clearing a building, clearing a factory. So the medic can just focus on what they're best at doing, and the police focus on what they're best at doing, rather than try to have the paramedic cross-trained and armed. The paramedic remains unarmed and in a close company of the police officers who will be doing the actual defensive actions there. But whatever the jurisdiction picks is what they pick, and that's their choice to do or not do whatever they want to do. Point being, for all the listeners out there, during crisis, whether short-term or long-term, you're going to be your own police officer, you're going to be your own fireman, you're going to be your own paramedic, won't you, Leon?
Absolutely, and I'm looking at all the skills I'm learning just in the last 2 or 3 years that we've talked about. We've been doing the show and we've been doing it longer than that, but I've been ramping it up drastically. So the last 9 days I've been down here near San Antonio doing classes, and they were doing off-grid medicine and the herbals. And so we're talking about all the oils and also being able to find plants. They're readily available. And then, I didn't want to challenge the instructor and say, hey, what happens when it is, 2 feet of snow and you can't find them because all the leaves have fallen off? So, that's why they say we have to prepare in advance. You make your tinctures and all these other things. I'm like, those are great. And, and I want to bring up the issue of, contamination, because this was in a quarry. And so, at their location, I don't know what they have there. There could be some of the explosive residue from all the demolishing the rock so they can ship it out. So, it's good to see that they are going down the right path. And, I'm glad I learned more plants. And in all these, the berberine, that's what, we have berberine in many of the oils. And so it was great to see that. And then many times he'd bring up the essential oils, and, this person is not into marketing. So when he thinks about doTERRA being the largest essential oil company in the world, he was just flabbergasted at how successful it is. So it was funny to see how I asked him about his own marketing. I said, hey, I didn't see this on your website, even though you're offering it tomorrow. He's like, oh yeah, my daughter's still working on marketing skills. And I'm like, well, it was just funny to see that he recognizes that that's not his forte. If you ask him about any plants and the species, he's Johnny on the spot. And we made some lidocaine. We had the powder, and this is just like with chlorine. Chlorine doesn't last forever. People can buy a bunch of gallons of it, but it typically loses between 5 and 10% of it off gases, even in a bottle, and you lose that. So after 5 years, you pretty much have water, and just like hydrogen peroxide doesn't last forever. And so if you get the powder, you can.
Well, the powder like these in swimming pools, you mean?
Yes, sir. Like they call it pool shock, but you can also get calcium chlorate along with sodium, not sodium. The hydrogen peroxide. No, not hydrogen. The name's eluding me right now, but in essence, it's pool shock, and it is chlorine that you can add water to, and then now you just made your own bleach, and so that lasts indefinitely, just like the oil.
Well, I got a heads up here. A heads up, Leon. The most popular chlorine bleach, of course, is Clorox. That's the name brand, been around forever. Which, when I was a boy, they sold it in these 1 gallon glass jugs, brown in color to protect it from ultraviolet. The plastic jugs they currently use do not last indefinitely, and we've had some chlorine bleach in the original bottles that the plastic bottle breaks down, and you do not want a gallon of chlorine bleach going all over the place. It would be just a huge mess. So heads up, everybody. If you're going to store chlorine bleach, do not store it indefinitely in those plastic bottles, because the plastic does break down and it will leak out and make a very big mess and possibly cause a lot of damage.
Yes, sir.
I would transfer them to gallon glass jugs. You're going to store chlorine bleach, transfer it into 1 gallon glass jugs. That would be the thing to do.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to acquire more of the powder aspect. And then the doctor was telling me, for people who don't have an autoclave, and I told you I picked up one about 8 months ago locally in Denver, and through an auction. And so this was normally $800, and I got it from a municipal company up in Denver that was getting rid of it because they got the new $6,000 autoclave. And so I was like, I'm happy to go with this one for $250. So he said, if you can get formaldehyde, or better yet, paraformaldehyde, you have the ability to sterilize instruments and other items that you need to do prior to surgery very quickly. And that's also a powder. So, I went online. He could not find it here in America. And after finding it, I found it online via some India Mart. And so these guys responded saying, yes, we do it, $400 per ton. I'm like, and I sent it to the doctor friend and said, you want to split a ton with me? And I'm going to joke. I was joking, but I am going to reduce that and see if we can get it in, like 100-pound, 200-pound sample coming in from India. And I would gladly do that and separate it and be able to force that out to other people on my team and other people in general who can use it, because if you don't have an autoclave to sterilize, and there's a difference between cleaning and sterilizing, is that sterilization, you can actually go right into surgery and you can do work. But, if you just pressure wash or, boil some water, that's not going to be sterilized. It'll be very, very clean, but you're not able to kill all of the vectors that you're concerned about, especially for surgery. I mean, and that's what we were doing this weekend. We had one of the people here in San Antonio has a sheep farm, and so he harvested one of his sheep, and we got to do chest tubes, and we were doing sutures, and they actually shot the ribs and the rump. And now we had to go in and dig out the bullet, and they did one with F&J and another one with hollow point, and there were 14 people, and we were all in there. And we had our own. We had 3 surgical theaters working simultaneously. We were gloved up, and it was very interesting to see how the dynamics of people wanting to get in there and get all the bone fragments out. And it was extremely. It was a great learning class. And I'll send you some pictures soon. And it was just over yesterday, so I'll send you some pictures so you can.
Are you still in Metro Austin area there, Leon?
Yes, I'm going to be here for the next 3 days, but I'm going to be painting my truck. The weather's terrible.
I have a reason for asking. Have you been to the Alamo?
I drove by the Alamo, and I was with 3 friends, so I did not stop there, but I did see the police presence out front.
What presence out front?
Oh, no, there were a bunch of police presence, so I guess it is still a target for other people to see them. They had barricades up. I'm like, oh.
Well, I don't know. I was down there. I had a speaking engagement, and I was there. And one of my favorite photographs of myself is me standing in front of the Alamo at night. And being at night meant you couldn't see the high-rise buildings behind it in the photograph.
Nice.
It's if you go down there thinking you're going to see a Spanish chapel in the desert of Texas, you're going to see a Spanish chapel surrounded by massive 20 and 30-story buildings. Yeah, it's a certainly iconic American site that I'm so glad I finally got to go there. I don't know anything about the police presence, or maybe there was some kind of special event going on or something. Where there was no unusual police presence when I was there a few years ago. But maybe something was going on the day that you were there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a lot of things here, including doTERRA oils, which I make use of every day. Leon makes use of every day. And there's people that are making a part-time business of it and creating another stream of income for themselves and their family, aren't they, Leon?
Absolutely. And now there are 8.5 million people worldwide that are using doTERRA oils daily for health benefits in the form of physical and emotional, and as well as spiritual. So there's so many benefits. And it's not only for themselves, but you can use them for your animals, you can use them for cooking, and you can use them for your plants. So because the oils are natural, and when I say natural, as in they are carbon-based, just like humans are and dogs are. Whereas the stuff that you find at the pharmacies in the world, those are chemical-based. Those are synthetics. And so your body, they're bioavailable immediately. And because they are natural, you can't become tolerant to them, and you cannot, nor do you become dependent on them. Unlike some drugs that if you don't have them, psychotropic drugs and things like that, if you don't have them, you don't have a schism, or you don't have a psychic break where people just go off the reservation. So it is important to know that the oils are only beneficial, and they have no side effects, no adverse side effects.
Right. Well, there are some caveats. These oils are incredibly concentrated, and if you use your finger, which I've done many times to apply oil on different something part of my body, be sure and wash your hands. Because if you inadvertently touch a mucous membrane, such as your eye, you will remember that as not a good event, won't you?
Absolutely. And it's funny, when I did a bunch of classes at a church retreat 2 weeks ago, and it was funny that many people at the church event had said, "Yeah, I use that peppermint, and I use oregano." But I made a mistake and went to the bathroom right after using the oregano. And it's like, I won't ever forget that technique.
Right. Well, any mucous membrane you touch with these oils, if it's not been diluted, it will be something you'll remember. But otherwise, there's no adverse side effects, and they're healthy. If you consume them, you can incorporate. If you're a cook, you can incorporate these oils into your cooking and have very pure flavors to add to your cooking. And if you want to get started, you go to my website under products at my website, thelibertyman.com. Under products, you'll find the doTERRA website link. We got a break. We'll be right back.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 29th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's where you see the beautiful images of people enjoying themselves on a cruise. These are photographs of some couples there, standing on a balcony, having a romantic dinner, and dancing in a ballroom. There's 20 restaurants on this ship. Can you believe that? 20. This is the biggest ship they make. The Harmony of the Seas, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. What a great time to be away from the snow and ice. February, the second week of February. It'll be a lot of fun. Leon will be with us. We may have some others that you recognize. No commitments yet. But the folks who are going to have a great time. We'll get together once a day and talk about the things that we're concerned about. Preparedness, geopolitical matters, and so forth. We'll have dinner together every evening. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can contact our cruise director. She'll talk to you and possibly mail you a nice full-color brochure. Our cruise director has a telephone. Betsy Murphy. Here's her telephone number, 636-530-9502. We're visiting with Leon Green. We're talking about doTERRA essential oils, and it is possible to turn doTERRA oils into a part-time business. And Leon, if people give you a call, you'd be glad to explain how that works, wouldn't you, sir? Take your phone off mute, Leon.
Yes, sir. Yes, some of the people from the class had wanted to get more information and actually do it themselves because they had some motivation to learn more about the company, and they said, I would like to have some extra streams of income. So it was very very enlightening to see that, and so I'd love to answer any questions and show you how you can even do part-time, do this, and still have an extra $300 to $500 per month. If that is a goal of yours, you can make much, much more than that. And I have friends that I've known for over 11 years that are doing substantial. They're doing more than some millionaires I've known. And so it is very effective and a great way to help.
And what's that telephone number to contact you, Leon, your telephone number?
Yes, sir. It's 303-495-2188.
Okay, that's 303-495-2188 Mountain Time. If Leon's off having fun adventure training that I'm jealous of, just leave a message and he'll get back with you after he has the fun adventure training that I would like to be there too, but can't. So, well, Leon, life should be full of joy and fun and doing fun, productive things that we like to do. We have people listening to us that would love to be doing maybe more fishing, more hunting, golfing, or bowling, or just going for beautiful walks in the park. And they're not doing it because of pain issues, other issues they're dealing with. And that's not what life's meant to be. If you start using the oils properly, understand how they work, why they work, incorporate them into your lives, you can there's a higher possibility chance that people can do the things that they enjoy and love, isn't there?
Absolutely. And if you're healthier and your quality of life and your energy picks up and your metabolism improves, then yes, you can have a huge impact. And it happens rather. It can happen rather rapidly. I mean, I've had people with all sorts of medical issues that can see how fast the oils work. And so I always, when people say, do they work fast? And I bring out peppermint, and I always do the Leon snort, where I have them taste a bit, and then they inhale it through both of the nostrils. And some of these people, big burly guys, are like, that's incredibly fast. They can't believe it's that powerful. I'm like, that's just one of 100+ oils we have. So it really shows them that just one drop is extremely powerful. And, that's equivalent to one drop of peppermint is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So there's a huge impact. And because the body is so effective in, the heartbeat, and, you're pumping tens of thousands of gallons per day. And so with that rate of transportation, you put one drop on your nose, and you can actually access all of the cells in the body in less than 30 in less than 30 minutes. I mean, actually, substantially less than that. But when I tell the people the numbers of how fast, because the vast majority of the blood, the liquid in the body is not in the blood. It's actually interstitial tissue in that fluid membrane. And because of that, you when you take a drop of oil, just like transdermal, I mean, if you put your hand in a bucket of toluene and xylene and other nasty chemicals, acetone, it goes throughout your whole body, and you can have impact that way too. So the body is extremely efficient in transferring nutrients, potassium, magnesium, and those things are important, and sodium in the fluid level. And we were doing tourniquets, and while we were doing the tourniquets this weekend, the class was talking about, if you try to do a tourniquet conversion, that means if you take it off, typically within the first 2 hours, there's no impact on that hand. If you say your hand was blasted or your shoulder was blasted, you would not have any.
That's good information. That's good information. No permanent damage if you take it off within 2 hours. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 29th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. We have a project. If you're a new listener, you may not be aware of this. We're in the third year, wrapping up our third year. We'll be starting our fourth year in January. Our third year of you, the listeners, finding images of continents with different coastlines in movies and TV shows. It's a fun project. It's called predictive programming. They've been doing this for 60 years. A lot of these were popped up in the late 1950s, 60 years ago. If you happen to find an image yourself of continents with new coastlines, different coastlines on a TV show, in a movie, you get that screen capture to me. My email address is at my website. As a thank you, you get your choice of any of my 6 DVDs. There's 6 of any one of John Moore's DVDs, not the others that I sell, there's a few others. So it's fun. If you go there to my website and scroll down the left side at thelibertyman.com, scroll down the left side to where it says new coastlines in the media. Click on that and you'll find the movies and TV shows, some incredibly popular, tens of millions of people have seen, like The Hunger Games, A Beautiful Mind, Superman Returns, The Godfather, and a couple of dozen others. We have more than 2 dozen of these going back to the late 50s and some to very recently in the last year or so. Also, my website, of course. If you have arthritis pain, you need an energy cleaner. Pure and simple. You do. If you have arthritis pain, you need an energy cleaner. Arthritis pain can be anywhere from distracting to something that just basically shuts you down where you can't barely function. Everybody with arthritis pain gets either total or some relief with the energy cleaner. Americans with sleep issues, that's a big chunk of American population. I sleep as great as a small child every night. You can also if you get yourself an energy cleaner. $285 shipping included, American zip codes. I offer something your healthcare provider is highly unlikely to do because, well, they simply can't. They'd be out of business. I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. Get the details at my website where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You can send me a check. My address is at my website. You can call our toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about all kinds of things, preparedness and health and doTERRA essential oils. you got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. A lot of things we do with these oils, Leon, seems counterintuitive. I'll get a big load of laundry going, and I'll put in 3 drops of Purify oil, 3 drops of lemon oil, and unless I've been doing something where there's some grease involved, for example, I don't even need any detergent. I just use those 6 drops of oil and get the laundry going. It comes out clean and fresh smelling and ready to go. It's hard to believe that those 6 little drops of oil can accomplish that for a full load of laundry, but that's what I do every week, Leon.
That's pretty sweet. And again, you said that was Purify, lemon, and what did you say, On Guard?
No. Well, if I thought I was exposed to some kind of flu or something, I may put On Guard. No, but just the Purify 3 drops and lemon oil 3 drops. That was advice from Dr. Moore. Dr. Moore did a research on this. She was quite the little researcher. I still have hundreds of her books that need to be placed on shelving. But Dr. Moore was quite the researcher, and she loved the oils, and she took care of the inventory of all the ordering and putting those little sticky labels on top of the bottles. And women have the patience to do that kind of stuff. It's difficult for me to do that. I can do it, but it's not as easy as it was for her. But incorporating these oils in your life will make a big difference, won't it, Leon?
Absolutely. And, I'm on the road right now for a total of a month. And, just like I noticed, my sleep has been impacted because I've gotten spoiled using the energy cleaner. And, you do have a portable one, but I've been going to 6 different places. And, I didn't bring my portable with me. And sometimes I kick myself because I'm taking things down to my retreat. And so I'm really limited on space. I mean, I was taking this big, the tall Costco, Home Depot metal stanchions that are 18 feet tall, and I'm taking those to my location so I can actually, they can hold 10,000 pounds or more. And so that's what my goal was. Be organized.
Warehouse shelving. Warehouse shelving.
Yes, yes, sir. The warehouse shelving. So it's 10 feet long, 18 feet tall, and 4 feet deep. So they put pallets on those things. So food, water, ammo, the whole shebang. I'm getting ready for those things. And so the oils, and that's another thing is, those old school, and I have it in my eBay cart, but the old school washing machines, which, it made it much easier than using the scrubbers where you sit down by the stream and scrub. That is not something both men or women want to do in a grid down scenario, because it's the water.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is something I point out to the men a lot, because they're the ones with the mechanical aptitude. Gentlemen, if you want to be a hero for the women on your team, you do the following. You get at least 2, maybe 3, depending on the size of the team. Wringer washers. Maytag is the top of the line. Maytag wringer washers. There's tens of thousands of these things all over the country in people's basements, garages, and barns and so forth, and convert it to run on a bicycle. And it turns a full day of drudgery into several hours of not so unpleasant work. And within living memory, people my mother's age, 1 full day a week, every week, was taken doing nothing but laundry. 1 full day a week, every week, for doing nothing but laundry. And in the absence of a wringer washer set up like I mentioned, unless you've got access to electricity, that's where you'll be back at that situation real quick, won't you, Leon?
Absolutely. And I'm looking at the ones on eBay, the circular one, and then also the square ones, and so, and think about this: clothes. Your body's going to harbor all the bacteria, and so if you don't change out your clothes and your socks and your underwear, you're going to get the road rash. You're going to get nasty feet and trench foot and things like that. So maybe not trench foot, but you'll have severe athlete's foot and fungus because of that. So having a clean source of clothes using the oils and incorporating the much easier wringer washer versus, doing the manual scrubbing with the metal accordion board where you do that.
Right.
Plus, the other problem is being down
a washboard.
Yes,
a washboard. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And if you're exposed, and think about
YouTube,
the water,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's YouTube videos on how to do this mechanical conversion to convert a wringer washer to run from electricity to run on a bicycle. It's a simple mechanical project. Leanne, we got a caller on hold here. We got Linda in Ohio. Good morning, Linda.
Hi, I have a question. I don't get to listen all the time in the morning because I work, but does Leon have a list of essential oils that would work on, for instance, especially this time of year with fleas and ticks, and I know a friend of mine has a problem with bed bugs, and
yes, ma'am.
Let's take those one at a time. We'll start with the bed bugs, Leon.
Okay, so what is awesome about the Terra Shield, especially now that they've incorporated lemon, eucalyptus, along with citronella, that is extremely aggressive, and especially incorporating with bed bugs, peppermint. So the menthol is very irritating and very much a repellent for the bed bugs. But what we really have to do is have a way to, in essence, sanitize or quarantine that room, because you don't want to repel them and then now spread them throughout the entire house. So I would use those, which is called Terra Shield, which is a proprietary oil by doTERRA that has a whole blend of oils that are very effective in both for fleas and ticks as well. But I'd also incorporate the peppermint. And I'm sorry, John, if you have the book in front of you, the 11th edition will have the newest. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'm traveling, and I don't have it with me right now. This is the first trip I've been on in a couple of years. I didn't have the book with me, and so
I do have it. I'll have to look up. I do have it. I just got it right here.
Okay.
And we're looking for bed bugs, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have not looked for bed bugs on that edition, but in essence, if you use the Terra Shield, and that's if you're out walking the dogs, whatever, and you don't want to have the ticks and fleas jump on you, you can use that as repellent. You can put it on your skin, which you have the health benefits, but you can also put it on your clothes. And so unlike DEET and all those other nasties off, that they recommend that you don't put it on your skin because it's a carcinogen, the chemicals in the off. Whereas it also dissolves plastics, which is incredible because you'll see kids playing with it and they like to play with the goo. But you can use these oils on your boots and your shoes to protect them from jumping on you, and you can put them on your hat and on your face, and they will last typically depending on how much you're sweating and the humidity, it'll last anywhere from 2 to, I've seen as long as 8 hours, depending on how strong you put it on. And so that's for the fleas and ticks. Now the bed bugs, you can use the Terra Shield as well, and you can also use the peppermint to repel them. But I would definitely, you may have to seal up that room, and so you're going to capture them, and so you're not just throwing a bug bomb in one room and now the whole house has it. So that's one thing I definitely recommend, if you can tape off that room and pretty much sanitize it. And so
right. Well, we recommend in the essential oils book, patchouli is very useful for taking care of any kind of insect and repelling them.
So where do you get the Terra Shield?
Everything's available.
I'm sorry.
You go to my website, Linda, and under products, you just click on doTERRA, and everything's available right there.
Oh, great! And so it works for all kinds of spiders, and because they're all coming in the house this year. Unfortunately, my friend is gonna bomb that bedroom today, so she'll close off the room.
Your friend is going to do. Yes.
Use one of those insecticide bombs. Yep.
Well, yeah, it's been going on.
Quite frankly, as insidious as bed bugs are, I would do both. Quite frankly, you really don't want those things in your domicile. Whatever it takes, get rid of them.
Do both what?
I would do both. I would do the doTERRA oils and the bomb both. I wouldn't mess around with it. I would just go after them with all guns, both barrels loaded. Yeah.
So doTERRA is on your website. You can't get that. Under what?
Under products on my website at thelibertyman.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for the information.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate the call. The call number is 800-313-9443. Living in a country like I do, Leon, means there's a lot more bugs than in the city. I make use of doTERRA oils. I make use of these glue boards. I make use of these aerosol bombs. Especially when my grandchildren are coming, I just double down on cleaning and oils and glue boards, because I would just be devastated if one of my grandchildren had an insect bite while residing here with me for a week. So you do what you got to do, right?
Absolutely, and think about this. If a major grid emergency occurs, or like with the Houston Fire Department I was with just yesterday, I asked them about the last hurricane and what it was like, and when they had people that were being aggregated together as they were moving them out of the city and the metropolis, they talked about it, and they talked about the water issues, but also when you had so many people together, any kind of respiratory issue now spreads like wildfire. And so it's crucial to have things. You can have the diffuser running, and and these don't take 1 or 2 amps. So even if you have a solar generator or a solar powered a battery bank, you can actually, if you have it hooked up to an inverter, you can actually prevent people from spreading any kind of diseases like that, whether they're in your basement because of a tornado or an earthquake or fires like out in California. You can protect these people with from transferring bugs between each other. And it's really simple and very easy. It's just a matter of having the knowledge to be able to apply it. And that's why, John and I do this weekly, so we can share this. So people don't wait till the last second and say, I need to buy my ham radio now, and I need to do this, and I need night vision. It'll all be too late once things go dark. And so that's why we really try to emphasize the importance of doing it in advance. Plus, you can have the benefits, the health benefits today. You don't have to wait 5 years or wait till things go south to even attempt to get it, because you will be able to benefit just like John does doing something as simple as laundry, as well as getting rid of the bugs in the house, and something like bed bugs can spread also, especially in emergencies, because now everybody's sleeping in sleeping bags, and now they're closed and confined areas, and now they're just bed bugs and lice are going between all the people. And so something as simple as patchouli and all the oils we talked about, the repellent oils, peppermint and Terra Shield, can be proactive so you don't get all these bites and infections. And it was incredible to find out that ticks are the number one vector in America for transferring all these different diseases. It's even surpassing mosquitoes. And so they talked about Lyme's, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and there were 5 other ones that were quite aggressive and deadly for that matter. So yes, patchouli. I know patchouli is effective, especially for things like termites. A friend of mine has a house out in the country, and when she read about it, she said, "Do you have any patchouli?" I said, "Yes, I do," and she ordered it because it was thousands of dollars for her to bring in a termite eliminator, and so she bought 2 bottles and did her whole property. And she said she eliminated termites for less than $50 versus thousands of dollars from Terminex. So that was motivating.
Yeah. Plus, what the chemicals used by the termite exterminators are incredibly poisonous, incredibly toxic, and that's how they work. Where the patchouli oil can't hurt human beings, can it?
Absolutely. And so, yes, you may smell like a '60s hippie, but you won't have any bugs.
Well, yeah, I was going to say you could use it for a cologne also if you like the scent of the patchouli. Okay, we got a break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 29th of October. Well, Leon, we get the word out every week, educating people and informing people that they can achieve their goals. And that's what our job is here, to help people achieve their goals of having the energy they want, the health they want, the clean home they want, the insect-free home they want, clean laundry at a very reasonable price, 6 drops of oils for each load of laundry, having the purest forms of flavorings for the things they cook that human beings can possibly get their hands on. And almost everybody listening to us cooks, don't they?
Well, yes, and they're going to cook more in an emergency situation for sure. And so even if they're only boiling water and throwing it in the bag and eating on the run or eating on the walk, yes, you'll be impacted by that. And one thing I did send you via email, or it's actually two things. I sent you some of the pictures from the classes, but I also sent you the information about, did you see the UN pretty much commandeered the largest venue in Salt Lake City? I sent you an email about
they rented it, and during the duration of their renting it, they considered it United Nations territory, didn't they?
Yes, sir. And so I wasn't sure if you saw that, but I was astounded. I understand it because, I was just there if you watch the videos in there, I was just there 2 months ago at the Salt Lake City, and I was having a conversation at the same location, which is right behind the Radisson Hotel at the Salt Palace. I'm like, wow. And so, they paid $650,000 was paid by the state of Utah to have them host it. But now they're incorporating some of their laws and changing pretty much the Constitution of Utah. And I'm like, this is incredible that they're actually going after, a very, very conservative state. And if that has changes, I can just imagine what California's going to be doing.
Well, it's hard to imagine a state much more conservative than Utah. It's it really is. But people need to be aware of these matters and stay on top of them, don't they, Leon?
Yes, sir. And so, in that same regard, they all the issues, all the evil sources like to do it incrementalism. They do it slowly and they do a little bit here. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And so, eventually you have issues that if you don't stay in the know, you're broadsided by things like this. So, we try to educate across the board and bring things to your attention so you can learn and prepare. And so that's what John and I are really focused on, is sharing knowledge and sharing experiences so you can be better prepared.
Absolutely. Leon, thank you, sir. We'll have you back next week. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. God bless.
Okay. Tomorrow we will have Professor McCanning with us. First hour, talking about all the different things that we talked about with Professor McCanning. The second hour, my friend Jeff Nyquist talking about the International Communist Conspiracy and how it's in places you may not even expect. It will be a great show tomorrow, as always. And just check out the oils at my website. Go to my website, thelibertyman.com, under products. We have the doTERRA listed there. It's